Wedding day chaos. Housekeeper announces she's carrying the billionaire groom's baby. I'm carrying Damien's baby. The cathedral freezes. 1,000 guests. Cameras flashing. My white Vera Wang suddenly suffocating me as Lucia, our housekeeper, stands in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. I lock eyes with Damien at the altar. In his expression, I see everything I need to know. It's true. My $50,000 bouquet hits the marble floor as whispers erupt into chaos. My father lunges for Damien's throat. My mother collapses into a pew. The wedding planner frantically waves off the string quartet, but they keep playing, a surreal soundtrack to my public humiliation. When? I whisper, but my voice carries through the sudden silence. When did you sleep with her? Damien's face crumples. Ariana, please. But I already know. The night he came home late. The night he couldn't look me in the eye. The night before he proposed. I turn to face our guests, celebrities, politicians, New York's elite, all witnesses to my devastation. And I make a decision that will change everything. I've spent 2 years believing Damien Crestwood was different from other billionaires. No Playboy antics, no scandals, just ruthless business acumen wrapped in tailored Armani and surprising tenderness. The man who built the Crestwood luxury hotel empire from his father's single property. The man who proposed on his private yacht with fireworks spelling my name across the Manhattan skyline. The man who apparently couldn't keep his hands off our housekeeper. Everyone out, I command, my voice steadier than I feel. Except you, I point at Damien, you, at Lucia, and you, at my maid of honor, Sophia. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, but no one moves. Now, I shout, the word echoing off marble columns. My father, steel-eyed CEO of Vail Industries, steps forward. Ariana, let me handle. No, Dad. I cut him off. I need to hear this myself. The cathedral empties reluctantly, guests filing out with phones discreetly recording. Tomorrow's headlines are writing themselves. I can already see them. Crestwood wedding catastrophe. Billionaire's baby bombshell. When the massive doors finally close, leaving just the 4 of us in the cavernous space, I turn to Lucia. She's 25, maybe younger. Soft-spoken Guatemalan immigrant who's worked for the Crestwood family for 3 years. I've tipped her generously every week, asked about her mother back home, even helped her apply for citizenship. How far along? My voice echoes. For months, she whispers, eyes downcast. The timeline hits me like a slap. For months ago, Damien and I were finalizing wedding venues. For months ago, he was telling me I was the only woman he'd ever truly loved. Ariana. Damien steps toward me, his perfect face contorted with desperation. It was one night. One mistake. I was drunk, she was. Convenient. I finish for him. Sophia moves closer to me, her bridesmaid dress rustling. Do you want me to call security? Your father? A hitman. The last one almost makes me smile. Almost. Lucia's shoulders shake with silent sobs. I never wanted to hurt you, Miss Vale. I tried to tell him privately, but he blocked my number. The wedding announcements were everywhere. I couldn't. So you thought crashing my wedding was the solution? I snap, then immediately regret it. She's not the one who betrayed me. Not really. I had no choice, she whispers. My visa, the baby. I have nothing. And suddenly I see it clearly, the power imbalance, the desperation, the fear. Damien Crestwood, hotel magnate worth billions, and the immigrant housekeeper who cleans his penthouse. The story is as old as time. Did he force you? I ask quietly. Damien's face contorts. For God's sake, Ariana. I would never. No, Lucia interrupts. It wasn't that. But I couldn't say no. He is my boss. My family needs the money I send home. The cathedral feels colder now. Emptier. The 1,000 white roses I insisted on suddenly seem obscene in their excess. I loved you, I tell Damien, my voice hollow. I trusted you when you said you were different. His blue eyes, the ones that captivated me across a charity gala 2 years ago, fill with tears. I do love you, Ariana. More than anything. This was a mistake, a terrible mistake. Please, can we just go somewhere private and talk about this? I look down at my custom gown, 3 months in the making, silk and lace and tiny pearls sewn by hand. I look at the scattered rose petals. At the altar where we were supposed to exchange vows. There's something you should know, I say finally. Something I was going to tell you tonight, after the reception. Damien stares at me, confusion replacing his desperation. I take a deep breath. I'm pregnant too. The words hang in the air like suspended glass, ready to shatter. You're what? Damien staggers backward, gripping the edge of a pew to steady himself. 10 weeks, I say, one hand instinctively moving to my stomach beneath layers of designer silk. I found out last month. Wanted to surprise you tonight. Sophia gasps beside me. I hadn't told anyone, not my maid of honor, not my mother, not a soul. The irony crushes me. I'd been saving this joy, wrapping it like a gift, while Damien had been burying his shame. Lucia's eyes widen, her hand covering her mouth. For a moment, we're just two pregnant women staring at each other across a cathedral, connected by the same man, the same betrayal. This changes everything, Damien whispers, his voice cracking. Ariana, please, we can work through this. For our child. A bitter laugh escapes me. For our child? What about her child, Damien? Were you planning to work through that too? Or were you hoping she'd conveniently disappear? His silence is damning. The cathedral doors crack open, and my father's security team peers in. Miss Vale? The press is gathering outside. We need to move you now. Give us 5 minutes, I call back, surprising myself with my composure. When the doors close again, I turn to Lucia. When exactly did it happen? She shifts uncomfortably. The night of the charity gala for children's hospitals. 4 months ago. Mr. Crestwood had been drinking champagne. He asked me to bring more towels to his suite after you had left for your early morning meeting in Chicago. The night before he proposed. The pieces click into horrible place. You felt guilty, I say to Damien, realization dawning. That's why you proposed the next day. That's why the rush, the fireworks, the spectacle. No, he protests, stepping toward me. I'd been planning to propose for months. I had the ring. But you chose that day because you needed to bury what happened. I cut him off. You needed to convince yourself you were still the good guy. His silence confirms everything. Sophia moves closer to me. What do you want to do, Ari? What do I want to do? The question seems absurd in its simplicity. I want to rewind time. I want to never have met Damien Crestwood. I want to not be carrying his child while standing in a cathedral filled with flowers that suddenly smell sickeningly sweet. I need air, I say, gathering my dress. And I need answers. Real ones. I turn to Lucia. Come with me. Ariana, wait. Damien lunges forward, grabbing my arm. You can't just leave. Watch me. I wrench away from him. There are 1,000 guests outside. Reporters. Your parents. My parents. The governor, for God's sake. Should have thought about that before you slept with our housekeeper, I snap. Sophia steps between us. Back off, Damien. You've done enough damage. This isn't just about us anymore, he says desperately. Think about the scandal, the press. Think about our baby. Our baby. The words hit me like a physical blow. Our baby will share DNA with Lucia's baby. Half-siblings born months apart. Miss Vale, Lucia says softly. I never meant for this to happen like this. I tried calling Mr. Crestwood's office for weeks. They wouldn't put me through. I look at her, really look at her. The dark circles under her eyes. The worn shoes beneath her simple dress. The way she protectively cradles her slightly rounded stomach. Did you love him? I ask her. She shakes her head immediately. No. Never. It was one night. A mistake. At least we agree on something, I mutter. A plan forms in my mind, reckless, perhaps, but I'm past caring about propriety. I turn to Sophia. Get my car brought around to the side entrance. And find my father. What are you going to do? Damien asks, panic rising in his voice. I meet his eyes, those blue eyes I once thought I'd wake up to for the rest of my life. I'm going to get answers. Real ones. And then I'm going to decide whether to destroy you or forgive you. I turn to Lucia. And you're coming with me. Ariana, be reasonable. Damien starts. Reasonable? I laugh, the sound echoing harshly off the cathedral walls. Reasonable ended when your pregnant mistress crashed our wedding. I gather my train in one hand and take Lucia's arm with the other. Let's go. You can't do this. Damien shouts, his perfect composure finally shattering completely. I pause at the side door, looking back at the man I thought I knew. Watch me. As Sophia pushes open the door, I whisper to her, make sure everyone's recording. If I'm going to have my heart broken in public, I might as well control the narrative. She squeezes my hand. Already trending, honey. #WeddingDayChaos is blowing up. You've got this. With one last look at the altar where my dreams died, I step out into the blinding camera flashes, Lucia trembling beside me, and make a decision that will change all our lives forever. The back of my father's Rolls-Royce is silent except for Lucia's occasional sniffles. My wedding dress takes up most of the seat, a mountain of ivory silk that cost more than what she probably makes in a year. Where are we going? She finally asks, her accent thickening with stress. The penthouse, I reply, staring out the tinted windows as Manhattan blurs past. Damien's penthouse. But I need answers before the vultures descend. And I need them somewhere private. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing. Texts from guests, calls from my mother, notifications from every social media platform. #WeddingDayChaos is trending nationally. Someone leaked footage of Lucia's announcement. 3 million views in 20 minutes. I switch it to silent and turn to her. Tell me everything. From the beginning. She twists her hands in her lap. I've worked for the Crestwood family for 3 years. Mostly at the main estate, but sometimes at Mr. Damien's penthouse when he has special events. Like the charity gala I supply. She nods. You left early that night. For Chicago. I remember. A last-minute crisis with one of Vail Industries' manufacturing plants. I'd kissed Damien goodbye, promised to be back the next evening. He was drinking after the guests left. Told me to stay late to clean up. Her voice drops. He seemed sad. Said he missed you already. Asked me about my family and my life. He'd never really talked to me before. My stomach churns. And then, he asked me to bring more towels to his bathroom. When I did, she trails off, color rising in her cheeks. He was naked, I guess flatly. She nods. He said it was an accident, that he thought I'd just leave them outside. But then he didn't cover up. He just looked at me. The Damien I know thought I knew would never do this. But the evidence of his betrayal sits beside me, for months pregnant. Did you want to sleep with him? I ask bluntly. Her eyes widen. No. I mean, he's handsome, yes, but he was your fiancé. And my employer. Then why did you? Tears fill her eyes. My mother in Guatemala needs surgery. Expensive surgery. That night after it happened, he gave me an envelope with cash. $10,000. Said it was a bonus for good service. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. He paid you. Not for that. At least, he didn't say so. But the timing. She looks down. I took the money. My mother had the surgery the next week. The car pulls up to Damien's building, a gleaming tower of glass and steel that he designed himself. The doorman's eyes widen when he sees me in my wedding dress, but he knows better than to comment. Miss Vale, he nods, holding the door. Mr. Crestwood called ahead. Said to expect you. Of course he did. Damien's always 3 steps ahead. The private elevator requires a fingerprint. Mine still works. Small mercies. He never called me after, Lucia says quietly as we ascend 60 floors. When I found out I was pregnant, I tried to reach him. His secretary blocked me. Said Mr. Crestwood wasn't taking calls from staff. How convenient, I mutter. 2 weeks ago, I saw your wedding announcement in the paper. Your picture. The date. She wraps her arms around herself. I panicked. I have no health insurance. My visa expires next month. The baby? The elevator doors open directly into the penthouse, 12,000 square feet of luxury overlooking Central Park. The place where Damien and I were supposed to live after our honeymoon. Miss Vale. Elena, the daytime housekeeper, gasps when she sees me. The wedding is off, I finish for her. Please give us privacy. She scurries away, no doubt already texting the rest of the staff about the bride in the ruined wedding dress. I lead Lucia to the living room with its floor-to-ceiling windows. The city spreads out below us, oblivious to our drama. I kick off my Louboutins, suddenly aware of how exhausted I am. Sit, I tell her, gesturing to the white leather sofa that probably costs more than her annual salary. She perches nervously on the edge, looking out of place among Damien's minimalist luxury. Are you going to keep it? I ask, nodding toward her stomach. Her hand moves protectively. Yes. It's my baby. It's his baby too, I remind her. He doesn't want it, she says quietly. When I finally got through to him last week, he offered me money. To take care of it. My blood runs cold. He what? $50,000 to make the problem go away. And a one-way ticket back to Guatemala. I stand abruptly, pacing the length of the window. The Damien I know donates millions to children's charities. The Damien I know teared up when we discussed having a family someday. But the Damien I know wouldn't sleep with our housekeeper either. Did you record the conversation? I ask suddenly. She looks startled. No. Why would I? Because evidence is power, I say, years of being a veil kicking in. My father taught me that before I could walk. The elevator dings. We both turn. Damien strides in, still in his wedding tuxedo, his face a mask of controlled fury. What the hell do you think you're doing, Ariana? Getting the truth, I reply coolly. Something you seem incapable of providing. He glances at Lucia, then back to me. We need to talk. Alone. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of both mothers of your children. He flinches at that. Good. The press is having a field day, he says tightly. My PR team is working on damage control, but we need to present a united front. I laugh, the sound harsh even to my own ears. A united front? Are you delusional? I'm trying to protect all of us, he insists. Yumi, our baby. And what about her baby? I demand. Were you protecting it when you offered her money to take care of it? His face pales. She told you that? Did you think she wouldn't? He runs a hand through his perfect hair, now disheveled from stress. It's complicated, Ariana. Actually, it's quite simple, I counter. You slept with our housekeeper, got her pregnant, tried to pay her off, and then proposed to me the very next day. Did I miss anything? Lucia shifts uncomfortably on the sofa. There's more to the story, Damien says, his voice dropping. Things you don't understand. Then make me understand, I challenge. Because right now, I'm seeing a man who betrayed me, then tried to buy his way out of responsibility. He moves closer, lowering his voice. Not here. Not in front of her. Why? Afraid she'll hear something she shouldn't. His jaw tightens. Ariana, please. 5 minutes. In private. Against my better judgment, I nod. 5 minutes. In the study. I turn to Lucia. Don't leave. No matter what he offers you. Damien's study is his sanctuary, dark wood, leather-bound books, the scent of expensive cologne. I've spent countless evenings here, curled in the leather chair while he worked, feeling safe in his presence. Now the room feels like a trap. He closes the door behind us. You're pregnant. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? I cross my arms. I was going to. Tonight. After what should have been the happiest day of our lives. He moves toward me, reaching for my hands. I step back. Don't. Ariana, I love you. I've always loved you. What happened with Lucia was a mistake, a terrible, inexcusable mistake. But it doesn't change how I feel about you, about us, about our future. Our future. I repeat incredulously. You destroyed our future the moment you decided to sleep with her. One night, he pleads. One stupid night that meant nothing. It meant something to her, I say coldly. It meant enough that she risked everything to tell the truth today. He runs his hands through his hair again, a rare gesture of frustration from a man who prides himself on control. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I am. More than you can possibly imagine. That'll make it right? I'll do whatever it takes. Including paying her to abort your child? His face hardens. That was a business decision. A business decision? I repeat, disgust rising in my throat. Is that what our baby is too? A business decision. That's different and you know it, he snaps. We're engaged. We're in love. We planned a future together. We're in love, I correct him. We're engaged. Fear flashes across his face. Don't say that. Don't throw away everything we have because of one mistake. One mistake. I laugh bitterly. You cheated on me, Damien. You got another woman pregnant. You tried to pay her to make it go away. And then you lied to me for months while planning our wedding. He moves closer, desperation in his eyes. I was afraid of losing you. I couldn't bear the thought of it. So you decided lying was the solution? I decided that protecting what we have was worth anything, he says fiercely. Even my soul. For a moment, I see the Damien I fell in love with, passionate, determined, willing to move mountains for what he wants. But now I see the darker side of that determination, the willingness to destroy others to protect himself. What about Lucia? I ask quietly. What about her baby? Your baby? He looks away. I'll provide financially, of course. Set up a trust fund. Make sure they're taken care of. From a distance, I guess. With paperwork and lawyers and NDAs. He doesn't deny it. The man I thought I was marrying would never treat his own child like a problem to be managed, I say, my voice breaking for the first time. He wouldn't try to buy someone's silence or threaten their livelihood. People make mistakes, Ariana, he says softly. Even me. I look at him, really look at him. The man I've loved for 2 years. The father of my unborn child. A stranger. 5 minutes are up, I say, moving toward the door. He catches my arm. Wait. There's something else you need to know. The intensity in his voice stops me. What? Lucia isn't just the housekeeper, he says, his voice dropping to a whisper. She's my half-sister. You're what? The room tilts beneath my feet. Half-sister, Damien repeats, his voice barely audible. Same father, different mothers. I stagger backward until my legs hit his desk. You slept with your sister? I didn't know, he hisses, running both hands through his hair. Not until after. I swear to God, Ariana. My mind races, trying to process this new information. Your father and her mother was our housekeeper in Guatemala. 25 years ago. His face is ashen. My father had an affair while my mother was pregnant with me. The pieces start clicking together with sickening clarity. So when Lucia came to work for your family 3 years ago, I had no idea who she was, he insists. Neither did she. My father hired her through an agency, kept her at the main estate. I barely saw her. Then how did you find out? My voice sounds distant to my own ears. Damien sinks into his chair, suddenly looking older than his 34 years. The morning after it happened. I got a call from my father. He was in a panic. Said he'd seen Lucia leaving my penthouse early in the morning. Demanded to know what happened. And you told him. He nods miserably. He broke down. Told me everything. How he'd had an affair with her mother. How he'd paid her off when she got pregnant. How he'd kept tabs on Lucia her whole life from a distance. And then hired her, I finish, without telling anyone who she really was. He said he wanted to make amends. Give her opportunities without revealing the truth. Damien laughs bitterly. Instead, he created this nightmare. My head spins with the implications. Does Lucia know? No. He looks up sharply. And she can't find out. Ever. You slept with your half-sister, got her pregnant, and you don't think she deserves to know the truth? The truth would destroy her, he argues. And my father. And the entire Crestwood name. The truth is already destroying everything, I counter. Look around you, Damien. Your perfect life is in shambles. He stands suddenly, moving toward me with an intensity that makes me step back. That's why I need you, Ariana. More than ever. We can still fix this. Fix this. I repeat incredulously. How exactly do you propose to fix the fact that you impregnated your own sister? Half-sister, he corrects automatically, then winces at my expression. I have a plan. I've had a plan since I found out. Let me guess. Pay her off and send her back to Guatemala. He doesn't deny it. It's the cleanest solution for everyone. Everyone except Lucia and her baby, I say coldly. Your baby. Your blood. A baby that should never exist, he explodes, then immediately lowers his voice. Do you understand what would happen if this got out? The scandal would destroy the Crestwood name forever. Stocks would plummet. The company would collapse. Thousands of employees would lose their jobs. So your solution is to cover it up. Lie to everyone, including me. He reaches for my hands, and this time I'm too stunned to pull away. I was protecting you. Us. Our future. By proposing the day after you found out you'd slept with your sister? The words taste like poison. I already had the ring, he says desperately. I was always going to propose. But yes, I moved up the timeline. I needed something good, something pure to hold on to while everything else fell apart. I pull my hands from his. I was your distraction. Your cover story. No, you were the love of my life. The only thing that makes sense in all this chaos. A terrible thought occurs to me. The baby. My baby? Is it? It's mine, he says firmly. Ours. Conceived weeks before any of this happened. Relief floods through me, followed immediately by shame. What kind of nightmare am I living in where I have to question if my fiancé is also my baby's uncle? We need to tell Lucia, I say finally. No. His voice is steel. Absolutely not. She deserves to know. It would destroy her. She's carrying your child, Damien. A child that's the product of, I can't even say it. Exactly, he cuts in. Which is why she can never know. The psychological damage would be catastrophic. I move toward the door. I can't be part of this lie. He blocks my path. Ariana, please. Think about what you're doing. Think about our baby. I am thinking about our baby, I snap. I'm thinking about what kind of father he or she will have. A man who lies. A man who covers up his mistakes no matter who gets hurt. I'm trying to protect everyone. You're trying to protect yourself, I correct him. Your reputation. Your company. Your perfect image. His face hardens. If you tell her, you destroy everything. Not just me, my father, my mother, the Crestwood legacy. Is that what you want? I want the truth, I say simply. The truth isn't always a gift, Ariana. Sometimes it's a weapon. We stare at each other across the study. The man I thought I knew, now revealed as a stranger with secrets darker than I could have imagined. The door opens. Lucia stands there, her face pale, her eyes wide. I heard everything, she whispers. Damien freezes. Lucia. Is it true, she asks, her voice trembling. Are you my brother? The silence that follows is answer enough. She staggers backward, one hand flying to her mouth, the other to her stomach. Dios mío. No. No, no, no. I move toward her instinctively, but she backs away from both of us. My mother, she gasps. She told me my father was a wealthy American. That he abandoned us. That she breaks off, tears streaming down her face. Senor Crestwood? Your father is my father. Damien's shoulders slump in defeat. Yes. A keening sound escapes her, primal and heartbreaking. She slides down the wall to the floor, curling around her stomach as if to protect the child within from this terrible truth. I kneel beside her, not touching, just present. Lucia, breathe. Just breathe. The baby, she sobs. Our baby. We'll figure this out, I say, surprising myself with the words. All of us. Damien stands frozen, watching us with a mixture of horror and resignation. This wasn't supposed to happen. None of this was supposed to happen, I agree. But it did. And now we deal with it. My phone buzzes in my pocket. I ignore it. Buzzes again. And again. Finally, I pull it out, ready to silence it completely. A text from Sophia. Turn on the news now. I reach for the remote on Damien's desk, clicking on the massive screen that dominates one wall of his study. The headline scrolls across the bottom. Breaking. Crestwood patriarch collapses after wedding scandal. The camera shows paramedics wheeling a stretcher into an ambulance. On it lies Richard Crestwood, Damien's father, and apparently Lucia's father too, his face gray, oxygen mask covering his features. Dad, Damien whispers, staggering toward the screen. The reporter's voice cuts through our shock. Sources say Richard Crestwood, 65, collapsed shortly after his son's wedding was dramatically interrupted by a pregnant woman claiming to be carrying the groom's child. Mr. Crestwood has been rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition. The Crestwood family has yet to release a statement regarding either the wedding scandal or Mr. Crestwood's condition. Damien grabs his phone, dialing frantically. Mom? What happened? He listens, his face draining of color. I'll be right there. He ends the call, looking between Lucia and me with wild eyes. Heart attack. He's in surgery. Go, I say immediately. Come with me, he pleads. Both of you. He's your father too, he adds, looking at Lucia. She flinches at the words, but slowly rises to her feet. I should not. You should, I contradict her gently. Whatever happens next, we're all connected now. For better or worse. Damien looks at me with something like hope. Does that mean? It means I'm not making any decisions right now, I cut him off. It means we're going to the hospital because a man's life is at stake. Everything else can wait. As we move toward the elevator, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, still in my wedding dress, now wrinkled and stained, my carefully styled hair falling loose, my makeup smudged from tears I didn't realize I'd shed. Not exactly how I pictured ending my wedding day. But then, nothing about this day has gone as planned. As the elevator doors close, enclosing the three of us in tense silence, I place a protective hand over my stomach. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same again. The hospital waiting room feels like limbo, a sterile purgatory of uncomfortable chairs and fluorescent lighting. My wedding dress draws stares from everyone we pass, a grotesque reminder of what this day was supposed to be. Damien's mother, Victoria Crestwood, sits rigidly in a corner chair, her Chanel suit immaculate despite the circumstances. When she sees us, her son, his runaway bride, and the pregnant housekeeper who destroyed the wedding, her perfectly composed face cracks. What is she doing here? She hisses, eyes locked on Lucia. Mom, Damien starts. Haven't you caused enough damage? Victoria continues, rising to her full height. My husband is fighting for his life because of you. Lucia shrinks back, one hand protectively covering her stomach. Mrs. Crestwood, I interject, stepping between them. This isn't helping anyone. Her ice blue eyes, so like Damien's, turn to me. And you. I expected better from a veil. Causing a scene, dragging our family name through the mud. I'm not the one who caused this, I remind her coldly. Ladies, Damien cuts in, his voice tight. Please. Not here. A doctor approaches, clipboard in hand. Crestwood family? Victoria immediately transforms, her socialite mask sliding back into place. I'm his wife. How is he? Mr. Crestwood has suffered a major cardiac event. We've stabilized him for now, but he'll need bypass surgery. The doctor glances at his chart. Given his age and condition, I should prepare you. This is a high-risk procedure. He could die, Damien translates flatly. The doctor nods solemnly. We're doing everything we can. The next 24 hours will be critical. Can we see him? Victoria asks. Briefly. 2 at a time, and only immediate family. Victoria takes Damien's arm. Come, son. As they follow the doctor, Damien glances back at me, his eyes pleading. I give him a small nod. Whatever lies between us, this isn't the moment to fight. Lucia and I are left alone in the waiting room, an awkward tableau of white lace and simple cotton, both carrying Crestwood airs in our wombs. I should go, she whispers, rising. Where? I ask. She hesitates. I don't know. Back to the estate, maybe. Pack my things. And then what? She shrugs helplessly. Guatemala, I suppose. If they don't deport me first. I study her face, the same high cheekbones as Damien, I realize now. The same straight nose as the man fighting for his life down the hall. How did no one see it before? Sit down, I say, gentler than before. You're not going anywhere right now. She obeys, perching on the edge of the chair like she might flee at any moment. Did you know? I ask quietly. About Richard being your father? She shakes her head vehemently. Never. My mother always said my father was an American businessman who abandoned us. She never spoke his name. And when you came to work for the Crestwoods? It was through an agency. I needed work. They paid well. Her hands twist in her lap. I never suspected. How could I? I believe her. The horror in her eyes when she overheard our conversation was too raw to be faked. The baby, she whispers, tears welling. What will happen to my baby? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes again. Another text from Sophia. Check Twitter. It's bad. With a sense of dread, I open the app. #Crestwood scandal is trending nationwide. Blurry photos of us leaving the cathedral, video clips of the moment Lucia made her announcement, speculation running wild. But it's the newest hashtag that makes my blood run cold. #Crestwood incest. Someone knows. Miss Vale. Lucia's voice breaks through my horror. Are you okay? You look pale. I lock my phone quickly. It's nothing. Just, the press is having a field day. Her face crumples. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know, I say, surprising myself with how much I mean it. A nurse approaches, clipboard in hand. Ms. Morales? Lucia looks up, startled. Yes, Mr. Crestwood is asking for you. We both stand. Which Mr. Crestwood? I ask. The patient, the nurse clarifies. Richard Crestwood. He's insisting on seeing Lucia Morales before his surgery. Lucia pales. Me? Why? I don't question patients, ma'am. Especially not when they're about to undergo high-risk procedures. The nurse gestures impatiently. This way, please. Lucia looks at me, panic in her eyes. I can't. You can, I say firmly. You deserve answers as much as anyone. She takes a deep breath and follows the nurse, leaving me alone in the waiting room. My phone buzzes again. This time, it's my father. Ariana, he says when I answer, his CEO voice in full effect. Where are you? Mount Sinai Hospital. Richard Crestwood had a heart attack. He curses under his breath. The press is swarming our house. Your mother's had to take a sedative. I need you home now. I can't leave yet, Dad. Can't or won't, he challenges. The Crestwoods are toxic right now. You need distance. It's complicated. It's simple, he counters. Damien betrayed you. Publicly humiliated our family. Cut your losses and come home. If only he knew how complicated it really is. Dad, I'm pregnant. Silence on the line. Then, all the more reason to come home. We'll handle this, princess. The Vale way. The Vale way. Meaning lawyers, NDAs, and enough money to make problems disappear. Just like the Crestwood way, apparently. I'll call you later, I say, ending the call before he can argue. Victoria Crestwood storms back into the waiting room, her perfect composure shattered. This is outrageous. Letting that woman in to see my husband before surgery. He asked for her, I remind her. Of course he did, she spits. His guilty conscience finally catching up to him after all these years. I stare at her. You knew. She laughs bitterly. About his bastard daughter? Of course I knew. I've always known about Richard's indiscretions. And you let her work in your home? Knowing who she was. Victoria sinks into a chair, suddenly looking every one of her 60 years. It was Richard's idea. His way of making amends without actually taking responsibility. Typical. Did you know Damien slept with her? Her head snaps up. What? No. That's impossible. Damien would never. He didn't know who she was, I clarify. Not until after. Horror dawns on her face. The baby. Her baby is. Your husband's grandchild and your son's child. Yes. She covers her mouth with a trembling hand. Dear God. Now you understand why this can't just be swept under the rug, I say quietly. Why paying her off and sending her back to Guatemala isn't an option. It has to be an option, she hisses. The alternative is unthinkable. Before I can respond, Damien returns, his face ashen. Dad's going into surgery. They're giving him a 50-50 chance. Victoria rises immediately. I should be there. As she hurries away, Damien collapses into the chair beside me. This is a nightmare. Where's Lucia? Still with him. He runs his hands over his face. He wanted to speak to her alone. We sit in silence for a moment, the weight of the day pressing down on us. The press knows, I finally say. About you and Lucia being siblings. His head snaps up. What? How? I don't know. But it's trending on Twitter. He pulls out his phone, scrolling frantically. This can't be happening. It is happening, Damien. All of it. He looks at me, desperation in his eyes. We can still contain this. My PR team. Can't fix incest and a secret love child. I finish for him. Some things can't be spun. So, what do we do? For the first time since I've known him, Damien Crestwood, billionaire, empire builder, master of his universe, looks completely lost. Before I can answer, Lucia returns, her face streaked with tears, her body shaking. What happened? I ask, rising to meet her. He knew, she whispers. All this time, he knew who I was. He's been watching me my whole life. Sending money to my mother secretly. He hired me on purpose. What did he say to you? Damien asks. He begged for forgiveness. Said he was a coward for not acknowledging me. She looks up, her eyes hollow. He told me he's changing his will. Recognizing me as his daughter. Giving me and my baby a share of the Crestwood fortune. Damien stiffens beside me. He can't do that. He already has, she says. The lawyers are drawing up the papers now. He said if he dies on that table, at least he'll die having done one right thing. The implications hit me like a physical blow. If Richard dies and his new will stands, Lucia will be publicly acknowledged as a Crestwood. The world will know that Damien slept with his half-sister. That their child is the product of incest. Everything the Crestwoods have built will crumble. There has to be another way, Damien says desperately. Maybe there isn't, I reply, a terrible clarity washing over me. Maybe the truth is finally catching up to all of us. My phone buzzes yet again. This time, it's a news alert. Crestwood Hotel's stock plummets amid wedding scandal. I show it to Damien. His face goes blank, the businessman in him calculating losses even as his personal life implodes. I need to call the board, he says automatically. Issue a statement. What will you tell them? I challenge. That the rumors aren't true? That you didn't sleep with your sister? That she's not carrying your child. Stop saying that, he snaps. I didn't know she was my sister when it happened. But she is your sister. And that baby is your child. And your father's grandchild. And nothing you say or do can change those facts. He stares at me, the full weight of the situation finally sinking in. It's over, isn't it? Everything. The company. Us. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel a flicker of pity for him. I don't know. A commotion erupts down the hall, raised voices, running feet. A code blue announcement over the intercom. Damien is on his feet instantly. Dad. We rush toward the surgical wing, only to be blocked by hospital staff. You can't go in there, a nurse insists. The doctors are doing everything they can. Through the window, I catch glimpses of organized chaos, doctors shouting orders, a defibrillator being charged, Richard Crestwood's body arching off the table. Victoria's anguished cry cuts through the noise. Richard, don't you dare leave me. Damien stands frozen, watching his father fight for his life. Lucia sinks to her knees in the hallway, praying in Spanish, tears streaming down her face. And I stand between them all, still in my ruined wedding dress, carrying a child who will be born into this tangled web of secrets and lies. In this moment, watching the Crestwood empire begin to crumble, I make a decision that will change all our lives forever. I reach for my phone and dial a number I've known by heart since childhood. Uncle James, I say when he answers. It's Ariana. I need your help. James Vale, my father's brother. The family fixer. The man who makes problems disappear. Whatever you need, princess, he replies without hesitation. I take a deep breath. I need you to get to Mount Sinai Hospital. Now. And bring your best team. As I end the call, Damien looks at me questioningly. What are you doing? He asks. I meet his gaze steadily. Taking control of the narrative. The Vale way. For better or worse, our fates are now intertwined, Damien, Lucia, our unborn children, and me. And I'll be damned if I let anyone else decide how this story ends. Uncle James arrives like a force of nature, 6'4", silver-haired, with the kind of commanding presence that parts crowds without a word. Behind him trail 3 people with tablets and earpieces, the Vale Crisis Management Team. Ariana, he embraces me briefly, taking in my wedding dress with a raised eyebrow. Quite a day you're having. You have no idea, I murmur. He turns to Damien, sizing him up with cool efficiency. Mr. Crestwood. Mr. Vale, Damien responds stiffly. And this must be Ms. Morales, Uncle James says, his gaze shifting to Lucia, who shrinks under his scrutiny. My team needs a private space, he announces, preferably with good Wi-Fi and coffee. A hospital administrator materializes as if summoned. We can offer you the executive conference room, Mr. Vale. Of course they can. The Vale name opens doors everywhere. Excellent. Ariana, Mr. Crestwood, Ms. Morales, with me. Now, it's not a request. As we follow him down the corridor, Damien leans close to me. What exactly is your uncle going to do? What he does best, I reply. Solve impossible problems. The conference room is sleek and modern, with a view of the Manhattan skyline now glittering with evening lights. Has it really been only 12 hours since I woke up excited to become Mrs. Crestwood? Uncle James takes the head of the table, his team arranging themselves efficiently around him. Let me be clear about something before we start. I don't care about the moral complexities of your situation. I don't care who slept with whom or who's related to whom. I care about one thing, protecting the Vale name, which means protecting my niece and her unborn child. Damien stiffens. The Crestwood name is currently being dragged through every tabloid in the country. Uncle James cuts him off. And frankly, Mr. Crestwood, your family's reputation is not my concern. It should be, I interject, surprising everyone. Because my baby will carry both names, Vale and Crestwood. Uncle James studies me for a long moment. You're keeping the baby? Yes. And staying with him? He nods toward Damien. I meet Damien's gaze across the table. I don't know yet. Uncle James accepts this with a nod. Fair enough. Now, let's assess the damage. Melissa? One of his team members taps her tablet. The hashtags #Crestwood scandal and #Crestwood incest are trending nationally. Stock has dropped 18% since market close. Major sponsors of Crestwood hotels are issuing statements distancing themselves from the brand. The wedding footage has over 10 million views across platforms. And the incest angle? Uncle James asks bluntly. Still speculation, but gaining traction. Someone leaked that Ms. Morales is potentially related to the Crestwoods, but details are murky. Who would leak that? I ask, looking between Damien and Lucia. Only 5 people knew, Damien says. You, me, Lucia, my father, and he stops, realization dawning. My mother. Victoria. I'm stunned. Why would she expose her own family? Control, Damien says grimly. If she controls the narrative, she controls the damage. Uncle James clears his throat. Regardless of the source, we need to get ahead of this. Now, what's Richard Crestwood's status? Critical, Damien answers. They're still working on stabilizing him. And if he doesn't make it? Dad. I protest. We need to consider all scenarios, Ariana. Uncle James turns back to Damien. Well, Damien's face is grim. If my father dies, his new will goes into effect. Lucia is publicly acknowledged as his daughter. She and her baby receive a significant portion of the Crestwood fortune. Making the incest angle impossible to deny, Uncle James concludes. Not ideal. Not ideal. Lucia speaks for the first time, her voice trembling with anger. This is my life. My baby's life. Not some public relations problem. Uncle James regards her thoughtfully. On the contrary, Ms. Morales. This is exactly a public relations problem. One that affects all of you, including your unborn child. Do you want that baby born into a media firestorm? Labeled a product of incest for the rest of its life. She pales, one hand moving protectively to her stomach. I didn't think so, Uncle James continues. Which is why you're going to listen very carefully to what I propose. He stands, pacing the length of the conference table. We need a narrative that protects everyone involved, especially the innocent, namely, the 2 unborn children in this room. What do you suggest? Damien asks. First, we need to address the incest angle. That's the most damaging element. Uncle James turns to Lucia. DNA testing. Immediately. To prove whether Richard Crestwood is actually your father. But he admitted it, she protests. He's changing his will. A dying man's guilt can manifest in strange ways, Uncle James counters. Perhaps he believes he's your father. Perhaps he wishes he were. But without DNA confirmation, it's all speculation. Hope flickers across Damien's face. You think there's a chance they're not related? I think we need scientific proof before we destroy multiple lives based on decades-old assumptions, Uncle James replies. Ms. Morales, would you consent to DNA testing? For your baby's sake? She hesitates, then nods slowly. Yes. For my baby. Excellent. We'll have samples collected tonight. He turns to his team. Arrange it. One of them nods and steps out of the room. Next, we need to address the immediate media crisis. Uncle James looks at Damien. Your company is bleeding value by the minute. You need to issue a statement. Saying what exactly? Damien asks. That I accidentally slept with a woman who might be my half-sister? Saying that you're taking a leave of absence to focus on your father's health and your personal matters, Uncle James corrects. That Crestwood Hotels will continue operations under the interim leadership of your COO. Professional, dignified, and buying us time. Damien nods slowly. I can do that. Good. Now, Ariana. Uncle James turns to me. You have a choice to make. Stand by Damien publicly while we sort this out, or distance yourself completely. All eyes turn to me. The weight of the decision presses down like a physical force. If I stand by him, I say slowly, I'm tacitly approving what happened. If you abandon him now, Uncle James counters, you're ensuring the Crestwood name, which your child will carry, is permanently tarnished. I look at Damien, the man I loved enough to marry this morning, the man who betrayed me in the worst possible way. I need time to think. Time is the one luxury we don't have, Uncle James says gently. The world is watching, Ariana. What they see in the next 24 hours will set the tone for everything that follows. My phone buzzes with an incoming call. My mother. I silence it. What about me? Lucia asks quietly. What happens to me and my baby while you're all managing the crisis? Uncle James regards her thoughtfully. That depends on the DNA results. And on what you want, Ms. Morales. I want my baby to be safe, she says simply. To have a good life. Without shame. Then we're aligned, Uncle James nods. Because that's exactly what Ariana wants for her child too. A knock at the door interrupts us. A nurse enters, her expression grave. Mr. Crestwood? Your father is out of surgery. The doctor would like to speak with you and your mother. Damien stands immediately. Is he? The doctor will explain everything, she says diplomatically. This way, please. As Damien follows her out, Uncle James turns to his team. Give us the room. They file out silently, leaving just Uncle James, Lucia, and me. Now, he says, his voice softening slightly, let's talk honestly. Woman to man who's seen it all. He looks at Lucia. What do you really want out of this situation? She twists her hands in her lap. I never meant to cause such trouble. I couldn't let my baby be born without a father. Without support. Understandable, Uncle James nods. And if financial support were guaranteed? If your child's future were secure? I don't want just money, she says with unexpected firmness. I want respect. Recognition. Not to be treated like a problem to be solved. I find myself nodding in agreement. She deserves that much. Uncle James turns to me. And you, Ariana? What do you want? The question catches me off guard. Everyone's been so focused on managing the crisis that no one has asked what I actually want. I begin, then stop, really thinking about it. I want my child to have a father who takes responsibility for his actions. I want the truth to come out in a way that doesn't destroy innocent lives. And I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and know I did the right thing, not just the expedient thing. Uncle James studies me with something like pride. You sound like your grandmother. She always chose principle over convenience. Is there a way to have both? I ask. Principle and damage control? There might be, he says thoughtfully. But it requires all parties to be aligned. And honest. The door opens again. Damien returns, his face unreadable. My father is stable, he announces. They're keeping him in a medically induced coma for the next 48 hours. His chances are better than they were. That's good news, I say cautiously. There's more. Damien takes a deep breath. My mother has agreed to DNA testing. She wants to know the truth as much as we do. This surprises me. I thought she already knew Richard was Lucia's father. She suspected, Damien corrects. But she never had proof. And now, he hesitates. Now she says she needs to know. For all our sakes. Uncle James nods approvingly. Smart woman. Facing reality rather than running from it. There's something else, Damien continues, his voice dropping. The board is calling for my resignation. Effective immediately. The news hits like a physical blow. Damien built Crestwood Hotels into what it is today. The company is his life's work. They can't do that, I protest. It's your company. It's a publicly traded company, he corrects me. And right now, I'm a liability. Uncle James watches this exchange with interest. What will you do? Damien straightens, a flash of the powerful CEO I know returning. Fight. But strategically. I've bought us 48 hours to come up with a plan while my father stabilizes. 48 hours, Uncle James repeats. We can work with that. A nurse appears in the doorway. We're ready for the DNA samples now. Lucia rises, her face resolute. I'm ready. As she follows the nurse out, Damien turns to me. Ariana, can we talk? Alone. Uncle James takes the hint. I'll check on the media response team. We'll reconvene in 30 minutes. When the door closes behind him, Damien and I are left alone for the first time since the cathedral. The weight of everything that's happened hangs between us like a physical presence. I'm sorry, he says simply. For all of it. I know. Do you? He moves closer, his eyes searching mine. Do you understand that I never meant to hurt you? That I would give anything to go back and change what happened. But you can't, I say softly. None of us can. He reaches for my hand. I let him take it. I love you, Ariana. That hasn't changed. Through all of this insanity, that's the one thing I'm sure of. I look down at our joined hands. Love isn't always enough, Damien. It can be, he insists. If we choose it. If we fight for it. How? I ask, meeting his gaze. How do we move forward from this? 2 pregnant women. A possible incest scandal. Your company in freefall. Your father in a coma. How do we build anything good on this foundation? Together, he says simply. One day at a time. Starting with the truth, whatever it turns out to be. For the first time since Lucia burst into the cathedral, I feel a flicker of hope. Not for the fairy tale ending I'd imagined this morning, but for something real. Something honest. The DNA results will take at least 24 hours, I say. What do we do until then? Damien's expression turns determined. We take control of our story. Before someone else does it for us. What are you suggesting? An interview. You and me. Together. No scripted answers, no PR spin. Just the truth. I stare at him. Are you serious? Uncle James would have a heart attack. Probably. He agrees with a hint of his old smile. But think about it, Ariana. Everyone's talking about us anyway. Speculating. Making up their own versions of what happened. Why not tell our story ourselves? Because it's messy and complicated and potentially scandalous, I point out. So is life, he counters. Real life. Not the sanitized version we present on social media. I consider his proposal. It's risky. Potentially disastrous. But also honest. What about Lucia? I ask. It's her story too. We include her. If she wants to participate. I shake my head in disbelief. You're willing to sit down with your jilted bride and you're pregnant, whatever Lucia turns out to be, and tell the whole messy truth to the world? Yes, he says without hesitation. Because it's the right thing to do. And because I'm tired of living behind perfect facades. Before I can respond, the door opens. Lucia returns, looking drained but resolute. It's done, she says. They took samples from all of us. The doctor says we'll know in 24 to 48 hours. How are you feeling? I ask her. She gives me a tired smile. Like I'm living in a telenovela. A very bad one. Despite everything, I laugh. That makes 3 of us. Damien looks between us, then takes a deep breath. Lucia, I have a proposal. For both of you, actually. As he outlines his idea for the interview, I watch Lucia's expression shift from skepticism to consideration. You would really do this, she asks when he finishes. Tell everyone the truth? Even if it destroys your reputation. My reputation is already in tatters, he points out. At least this way, we control the narrative. We show the world that we're dealing with this honestly, whatever this turns out to be. Lucia looks at me. And you? Would you do this? I think about my parents, who will be horrified. About the Vale name, which has never been associated with scandal. About my unborn child, who deserves the truth, however complicated. Yes, I decide. I would. Uncle James returns, taking in our determined expressions with a raised eyebrow. Why do I feel like you've all made a decision I'm not going to like? Damien stands. Mr. Vale, we appreciate your expertise. But we've decided to take a different approach. As Damien explains our plan, Uncle James's expression shifts from disbelief to calculation. It's risky, he says finally. Very risky. But... He pauses, studying each of us in turn. It might just work. With the right interviewer. The right setting. The right framing. You'll help us? I ask, surprised. I'll help you do it right, he corrects. If you're determined to jump off this cliff, I'd rather you have a parachute. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel something like certainty. Not that everything will be okay, I'm not that naive anymore. But that we're finally moving toward the truth, whatever it may be. As Uncle James begins outlining potential interviewers and approaches, my phone buzzes with a text from Sophia. Are you okay? The world is going crazy out here. I type back, not okay yet. But getting there. I think. Her response is immediate, whatever you need. I'm here. The next 48 hours pass in a blur of preparation, negotiation, and waiting. Richard Crestwood remains in a medically induced coma, his condition stable but critical. Victoria alternates between her husband's bedside and closed-door meetings with Crestwood Hotel's board members. Uncle James works his magic, securing us Barbara Walters' successor at ABC for an exclusive primetime interview. If you're going to bare your souls, he says, at least do it with someone who has gravitas. Damien's PR team quits en masse when they learn of our plan. Too honest, they claim. Career suicide. Maybe they're right. I haven't been home since the wedding. Haven't spoken to my parents beyond brief texts assuring them I'm alive. My wedding dress hangs in Damien's guest room closet, a ghostly reminder of what should have been. Lucia stays in another guest room down the hall. The three of us exist in a strange limbo, waiting for DNA results that will determine our futures. The interview airs tomorrow night, Uncle James announces as we gather in Damien's living room. 8 p.m. Eastern. Live. Live. I repeat, anxiety spiking. I thought we'd pre-record. Pre-recorded means edited, he explains. Live means authentic. Given your strategy of radical honesty, live is better. Damien nods in agreement. He's right. We need to show the world we're not hiding anything. Even though we don't have the DNA results yet? Lucia asks. Especially because we don't have them yet, Uncle James says. It shows you're all willing to face the truth together, whatever it may be. My phone rings the hospital. I answer immediately, heart racing. Ms. Vale? This is Dr. Patel from Mount Sinai. The DNA results are in. All parties requested to be informed together. I look up at Damien and Lucia. They have the results. The drive to the hospital feels eternal. None of us speak. What is there to say when your entire future hangs on a genetic test? Dr. Patel meets us in a private consultation room, manila folder in hand. Victoria is already there, looking regal despite her exhaustion. Before I share these results, Dr. Patel begins, I want to confirm that everyone wants to hear this information together. We all nod. Very well. He opens the folder. We compared DNA samples from Richard Crestwood, Damien Crestwood, and Lucia Morales to determine potential familial relationships. The room holds its collective breath. The results show that Richard Crestwood is not Lucia Morales' biological father. The words hang in the air for a moment before their meaning registers. Not her father? Damien repeats. You're certain? The test is conclusive, Dr. Patel confirms. There is no paternal genetic relationship between Richard Crestwood and Lucia Morales. Victoria makes a sound half laugh, half sob. I knew it. I always knew it. But he admitted it, Lucia protests, her voice small. He said he was my father. He's changing his will. Perhaps he believed it to be true, Dr. Patel suggests gently. Or perhaps there are other factors at play. What about Damien and Lucia? I ask, the most crucial question still unanswered. Are they related at all? Dr. Patel consults his notes. There is no significant genetic relationship between Damien Crestwood and Lucia Morales. They are not siblings or half-siblings. The relief that floods the room is palpable. Damien sinks into a chair, head in his hands. Lucia begins to cry softly. So the baby, I begin, is not a product of incest, Dr. Patel confirms. From a genetic standpoint, there are no concerns. Victoria stands abruptly. I need to speak with my husband's doctors. Excuse me. As she leaves, the three of us are left to process this seismic shift in our reality. He's not my father, Lucia whispers. All these years, my mother said, and he admitted. People lie, I say gently. Sometimes even to themselves. Damien looks up, his face transformed with relief. We're not related. The baby is just a baby. A normal, healthy baby. Not the product of some Greek tragedy, I agree, feeling lighter than I have in days. But why would he claim to be my father? Lucia asks, confusion evident. Why change his will for me? I think, Damien says slowly, we need to ask him that directly. Dr. Patel clears his throat. As it happens, Mr. Crestwood is being brought out of his coma today. His condition has stabilized enough for a brief awakening. Family only, of course. We're all family now, I say firmly. One way or another. When Richard Crestwood opens his eyes 2 hours later, he finds all of us surrounding his bed, Damien, Victoria, Lucia, and me. What happened? He rasps, his voice weak from the breathing tube recently removed. You had a heart attack, Dad, Damien explains. During my wedding. Do you remember? Recognition flickers in his eyes. The wedding. Lucia came. Yes, Victoria says tightly. She announced she was carrying Damien's child. In front of 500 guests. Richard's gaze moves to Lucia. I'm sorry. So sorry. We have questions, Damien says firmly. And we need honest answers. Richard nods weakly. You're not my father, Lucia says, getting straight to the point. We did DNA tests. Why did you lie? Richard closes his eyes briefly. Not a lie. A possibility. Explain, Victoria demands. Your mother, Richard says to Lucia Isabella. We had an affair, yes. When Victoria was pregnant with Damien. But there was someone else too. Another man. She wasn't sure. Who? Lucia asks. My brother, Richard whispers. Carlos. He loved her too. The revelation stuns us all into silence. Carlos is your father, Richard continues. Must be. But I always wondered, always felt responsible. So you hired her, Damien concludes. Brought her into our home. Richard nods. Wanted to make amends. Give her opportunities. When I saw her leaving your penthouse that morning, I thought, history repeating itself. You let me believe she was my sister, Damien says, anger edging his voice. You let me think I'd committed, he breaks off, unable to say it. I believed it, Richard insists weakly. Truly believed it possible. And the will? Victoria asks. Changing it to include her? The right thing, Richard murmurs. Carlos is gone. Someone should take responsibility. A nurse appears at the doorway. I'm sorry, but Mr. Crestwood needs to rest now. As we file out, Richard catches Lucia's hand. Forgive me, he whispers. For not being brave enough to tell the truth sooner. In the hallway, we absorb this new reality. Carlos Crestwood, Damien says. My uncle. He died 10 years ago. So Lucia is your cousin, I realize. Not your sister, but still family. Family, Lucia repeats, testing the word. I have family. Victoria straightens her Chanel jacket. This changes the interview tomorrow. The narrative. It changes everything, I agree. Back at the penthouse, Uncle James listens to our account with professional interest. This is workable, he decides. Not ideal, but workable. Not ideal. Damien challenges. It's the best possible outcome. We're not siblings. The baby isn't, he stops, unable to say the word even now. You still slept with your cousin, Uncle James points out bluntly, who was also your employee, while engaged to my niece. Put that way, it still sounds bad. Just less catastrophically bad. The interview goes forward, I decide. With the truth. All of it. Are you sure? Uncle James asks. We could cancel, issue a statement instead. No, Damien says firmly. We promised honesty. That's what we'll deliver. The next evening finds us in ABC's studio, makeup freshly applied, microphones being clipped to our clothing. Lucia, Damien, and me, an unlikely trio about to bare our souls to the world. 3 minutes to air, a producer announces. Damien reaches for my hand. After a moment's hesitation, I let him take it. Whatever happens, he says quietly, thank you for doing this with me. I'm not doing it for you, I remind him. I'm doing it for our child. For all our children. He nods, understanding. The lights brighten. The famous interviewer settles into her chair across from us. The red light on the camera blinks on. Good evening, America. Tonight, an exclusive interview with the trio at the center of what social media has dubbed #WeddingDayChaos. Billionaire hotel magnate Damien Crestwood, his jilted bride Ariana Vale, and Lucia Morales, the housekeeper who crashed their wedding with a bombshell announcement. Thank you all for being here. We murmur our thanks. Let's start at the beginning, she continues. Ariana, take us back to that moment in the cathedral when Lucia made her announcement. I take a deep breath and begin our story. The truth, all of it, the betrayal, the confusion, the fear, the DNA tests, the revelation of Lucia's true parentage. Damien speaks of his shame, his regret, his love for me, his responsibility to both unborn children. Lucia shares her desperation, her fear for her baby's future, her shock at discovering her connection to the Crestwood family. And now, the interviewer asks, where do you all go from here? Damien, will you be part of Lucia's child's life? Absolutely, he says without hesitation. That child is my responsibility, my blood. I will provide financial support, of course, but more importantly, I want to be a father to that child. A real father, present and involved. And Ariana, she turns to me, can you forgive Damien? Can you rebuild your relationship after such a betrayal? The question I've been dreading. The one I've asked myself 1,000 times over the past 3 days. Forgiveness is a process, I say carefully. Not an event. I'm not there yet, but I'm willing to work toward it day by day. For our child's sake, and for my own. So you're staying together? I glance at Damien. We're figuring it out. Taking it one day at a time. What I know for certain is that our children, both of them, deserve parents who respect each other, even if they can't be together. And Lucia, the interviewer continues, how do you feel about potentially co-parenting with Damien and Ariana? Lucia straightens in her chair. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I just wanted my baby to have a father. Now, I have more than I ever expected, a family, a connection to my past through my father Carlos Crestwood. I'm grateful for that, even if the way it happened was difficult. There's something else we want to announce, Damien says, surprising me. This wasn't in our preparation. Damien, I warn quietly. It's okay, he assures me before turning back to the interviewer. The Crestwood Foundation is establishing a new initiative, the New Beginnings Fund. It will provide support for single mothers, particularly immigrant women, who find themselves in vulnerable positions. Lucia will help direct it. Lucia's eyes widen in surprise. I will. If you want to, Damien amends. Your experience, your perspective, would be invaluable. The interviewer leans forward. That's a generous gesture, Mr. Crestwood. Some might say it's an attempt to buy good publicity after a scandal. They might, he agrees. But I've learned something important these past few days. Money can't fix everything. It can't erase mistakes or heal broken trust. But it can create opportunities. It can open doors that would otherwise remain closed. And what about Crestwood Hotels, she asks. The board was calling for your resignation. They were, Damien confirms. But in light of recent developments and our commitment to transparency, they've agreed to a 6-month leave of absence instead. During that time, I'll focus on my family, both families, and on rebuilding what my actions have damaged. The interview continues for another 30 minutes, probing and sometimes uncomfortable. But through it all, we maintain our commitment to honesty. As the cameras finally switch off, the interviewer shakes each of our hands. "That was remarkable," she says. "I've done thousands of interviews, but never one quite like this." Uncle James appears from the wings, looking cautiously optimistic. Initial social media response is trending positive. Brave, honest, human, those are the words coming up most frequently. And Crestwood stock? Damien asks. Up 3 points in after-hours trading, Uncle James reports. Not a recovery, but a start. As we leave the studio, I feel lighter somehow. The truth is out there now, messy, complicated, but real. No more secrets, no more lies. Outside, a small crowd has gathered. Not paparazzi, but ordinary people. They begin to applaud as we emerge. "What's happening?" Lucia whispers, startled. I say slowly, they're applauding our honesty. Damien takes my hand on one side, Lucia's on the other. Together, we face the crowd and our future, united by circumstance, choice, and the truth that finally set us free. 6 months later. The nursery is perfect, soft cream walls, a hand-painted mural of the Manhattan skyline at sunset, and 2 cribs positioned side by side near the window overlooking Central Park. "Do you think they'll like sharing a room?" Lucia asks, adjusting a stuffed elephant in the crib with the pale blue bedding. "For the first few months, at least," I reply, smoothing the mint green blanket in the other crib. "They'll be born just 8 weeks apart. It might be good for them to grow up close." So much has changed since that catastrophic wedding day. The penthouse has been renovated to accommodate our unconventional family arrangement, Damien and I in the master suite, Lucia in a spacious apartment connected to ours by a shared living area. 2 nurseries, one here, one in Lucia's space, for the babies to move between. Not traditional by any means, but then, nothing about our situation is. The door opens and Damien enters carrying 2 cups of herbal tea. "For the mothers of my children," he says with a smile that still makes my heart skip, despite everything. At 7 months pregnant, I waddle rather than walk to accept the cup. Lucia, due in just 3 weeks, moves even more carefully. "Richard called," Damien says, setting down his own coffee. "He's coming for dinner tonight." Richard Crestwood's recovery has been remarkable, physically and emotionally. The heart attack that nearly killed him also freed him, in a way. No more secrets, no more guilt. His relationship with Victoria remains complicated, but they're working through it, one therapy session at a time. "And your mother?" I ask. Damien shrugs. "Still in Paris. She sends her regards." Victoria has chosen distance as her coping mechanism, designer shopping in Europe while the dust settles at home. I don't blame her. This can't be easy for a woman who's spent her life maintaining perfect appearances. My parents have been surprisingly supportive once the initial shock wore off. My father, ever the businessman, recognized the value in how we handled the crisis. Masterful pivot, he called it. My mother simply wants grandchildren to spoil, regardless of the circumstances. The interview request from People magazine came in, Lucia mentions, lowering herself carefully into the rocking chair. They want to do a spread on the nursery. Modern Family, Billionaire edition. I roll my eyes. Pass. The ABC interview changed everything. The public response was overwhelmingly positive, not universal approval, certainly, but respect for our honesty. Hashtag Wedding Day Chaos gave way to hashtag Truthtellers and hashtag Modern Family. Crestwood Hotels recovered most of its stock value within 3 months. The New Beginnings Fund has already helped dozens of single mothers secure housing, childcare, and job training. Lucia's personal story makes her the perfect director. She understands their struggles in a way no wealthy executive ever could. As for Damien and me, we're working on it. Day by day, session by session in our therapist's office. The betrayal still stings, but it's dulled with time and perspective. We haven't rescheduled the wedding. Maybe we never will. But we're committed to co-parenting, to rebuilding trust, to creating something new from the ashes of what was lost. Have you decided on names yet? Damien asks, his hand resting lightly on my swollen belly. Sophia for a girl, I say. After my maid of honor who stood by me through everything. And for a boy, he prompts. I hesitate. I was thinking. Carlos. Lucia looks up sharply. After my father? I nod. He's family. Part of our children's heritage. Tears fill her eyes. Thank you. What about you? I ask her. Any names picked out? She smiles, one hand on her rounded stomach. Elena for a girl after my mother. And for a boy. She glances at Damien. I was thinking James. After my uncle? I ask, surprised. She nods. He helped us when he didn't have to. Made sure I was treated fairly in all the legal arrangements. He's a good man. Damien chuckles. James Crestwood Morales. It has a ring to it. The doorbell rings, interrupting our moment of harmony. That'll be the dinner delivery, Damien says, heading for the door. But it's not the delivery. It's Sophia, carrying a massive gift basket and wearing a huge grin. Surprise, she announces, sweeping into the nursery. I couldn't wait until the baby shower next week. I embrace her awkwardly, my belly getting in the way. What's all this? Just a few essentials, she says, setting down the basket overflowing with tiny clothes, books, and toys. And something else. She hands me an envelope. Inside is a check with an astonishing number of zeros. Sophia, what? It's from the book deal, she explains. Our story, well, your story, is officially a bestseller. This is your share of the advance. After the interview aired, publishers had swarmed with offers for a book detailing our unconventional journey. Sophia, with her background in journalism, offered to ghostwrite it. From Wedding Chaos to Modern Family hit shelves last month and immediately topped the charts. This is too much, I protest. It's exactly what you deserve, she counters. All of you. For having the courage to be honest in a world that rewards perfect lies. Damien returns with Richard, who moves more slowly these days, but whose eyes are clearer than I've ever seen them. The gang's all here, he says warmly, embracing each of us in turn. When he reaches Lucia, he pauses. I've been meaning to give you something. He pulls a small box from his pocket. Inside is an antique locket. It belonged to Carlos, Richard explains. My brother. Your father. I thought you might want it for the baby, a connection to their grandfather. Lucia accepts it with trembling hands. Thank you. As we move to the dining room for dinner, I hang back, watching them all, this strange, broken, healing family we've created. Not perfect by any means, but real. Honest. Damien notices me lingering and returns to my side. Everything okay? Just thinking, I reply. About that day in the cathedral. How it felt like the end of the world. He takes my hand, his thumb brushing over where an engagement ring once sat. We've set it aside for now, a question mark for the future. And now, he asks softly. I look at our assembled family, Lucia laughing with Sophia, Richard showing them old photos on his phone, the nursery visible through the open door, waiting for 2 new lives to fill it. Now it feels like a beginning, I say. Not the one I expected, but maybe the one we needed. He kisses my forehead gently. I don't deserve this second chance. But I promise you I won't waste it. I know, I say, and I mean it. Later, after dinner and dessert and Richard's slightly tipsy stories about Damien as a child, after Sophia has gone home with promises to return for the baby shower, after Lucia has retired to her apartment for the night, Damien and I stand at the nursery window, looking out at the city lights. Do you ever regret it? He asks quietly. Staying? It would have been easier to walk away. I consider the question carefully. Easier, yes. But not better. Not for our children. Not even for us, I think. I love you, Ariana, he says simply. I know I haven't earned back the right to hear it in return. But I needed you to know. I turn to face him, this man who broke my heart and then helped me build something new from the pieces. I'm getting there, I tell him honestly. Day by day. He smiles, understanding in his eyes. Day by day is enough. As if in agreement, the baby kicks a strong, decisive movement that makes me laugh. Damien places his hand on my belly, his face lighting up when he feels it too. Strong, he says proudly. Like their mother. In that moment, I realize something important. The fairy tale I dreamed of, the perfect wedding, the flawless marriage, the happily ever after with no complications, was just that, a fairy tale. What we've built instead is messy and difficult and sometimes painful, but it's real. And in its imperfection, it's actually something better than the fantasy. Come on, I say, taking his hand. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow's another day. Another day to heal. Another day to build. Another day to love, in this new way we're discovering together. Not a fairy tale ending, but a human one. And somehow that's enough. 3 weeks later. It's a boy, the doctor announces as Lucia's son enters the world with a powerful cry. Damien, who's been holding her hand through 12 hours of labor, looks shell-shocked and elated all at once. He's perfect, he whispers as the nurses clean and wrap the tiny red-faced infant. I watch from the doorway, one hand on my own belly where our child continues to grow. In 8 weeks, this scene will repeat with different players, me in the bed, perhaps Lucia in the doorway. When they place the baby in Lucia's arms, her exhausted face transforms with a love so pure it brings tears to my eyes. James, she says softly. James Carlos Crestwood Morales. Damien looks up, meeting my gaze across the room. In his eyes, I see everything: regret for the past, gratitude for the present, hope for the future. I nod, giving him permission to fully embrace this moment without guilt. As he leans down to kiss his son's forehead, I slip out to call the others waiting anxiously in the family room: Richard, my parents, Sophia, Uncle James, who will be both touched and embarrassed by the baby's name. Our family. Unconventional, unexpected, but ours. In the hospital gift shop, I pause before a display of greeting cards. Congratulations on your new baby in pink and blue pastels. None of them quite fit our situation. On impulse, I buy a blank card instead and write my own message. Welcome to our perfectly imperfect family, James. You'll never lack for love, truth, or people who fought to make a place for you in this world. Your brother or sister can't wait to meet you. With love, Ariana. As I seal the envelope, my wedding ring catches the light, not the original engagement ring, but a simple gold band Damien gave me last week. Not a proposal, not yet, but a promise. A beginning. I place a hand on my belly, feeling our child move beneath my palm. What do you think, little one? I whisper. Ready to join this crazy family of ours? A kick, strong and decisive, answers me. I smile, heading back to the maternity ward where our future waits, one day at a time. The end. Please subscribe to my channel for more.